Good evening. This is Cheryl Warren-Brumsey, MRTS class 1330, and my subject is the history of African American funeral rituals. Did you know that the first female embalmer was a black woman by the name of Henrietta Doherty in 1858 in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania? Since that time, moving before black people were brought to this country, the rituals of black funerals dates back as far as ancient Egypt. After the Civil War, black people before the Civil War, black people were not allowed to celebrate their dead. After that time, after the Civil War, because there were no funeral homes available for black people, because the white funeral establishments refused to bury anyone that was black. So most of the families would either have the deceased laid out at home in a bed or on a table that they refer to as a cooling board. And then a makeshift wooden coffin would be made. Of course, no embalming, anything like that was done. And the community would come together and they would celebrate the person there at the person's home, or we would have what you call a graveside service. And after church on Sunday, either they would have a ceremony there at the church in the community, or just take the deceased to the quote-unquote church cemetery and have a graveside service there and bury the body. As time went on, the importance of having services for black Americans became more and more needed. After the Civil War, as I said, that's when a lot of things changed. A lot of black people moved north. And so because of that migration, they would not see each other for years and years, if ever. And so the time that they would come together, and this tradition holds to this very day, would be a funeral or a family reunion. And so that's when we would hold out, and we still do again to this day. The deceased would be laid out for more than a week to give the families that live far and away a chance to make it to whatever state or town that they needed to make for the service. And because of this also, especially like our matriarchs and of the family, or the fatherly figure, the great-grandfather, grandfather, we would revere them. And we would dress them in the finest, as we say, Sunday go-to-meeting clothes. And they would be celebrated. A service could last 2 to 3 hours or more. And in some of the African countries, a service can last a week. They'll have something going on that lasts a week or more. And it was very important because of what the matriarch or the father figure meant in the community and to the family. It was very important, and it still is, to, as I said, dress them in their finest, make sure that they were celebrated in every way possible. And this is also where homegoing celebrations became popular, because we were taught that they are going to a better place. Yes, you mourn them, but you celebrate them. You celebrate in song, dance. You tell stories of their lives, and they are celebrated, and we still do that. The only service that I can say that I have been a part of that it's not as they call a celebrations per se is that of a child or a baby, but otherwise it's a celebration. And also I can speak for the history that I know growing up in Dallas, Texas. Even our funeral homes, the Black-owned funeral homes, also had their own ambulance service, because the city ambulance service would not pick up Black residents of the city. And also the hospitals, which at that time we were only able to go to Parkland Hospital or St. Paul Hospital in those days in the 60s. And they would only treat the Black patient in the basement of the hospital, never in the main part of the hospital. And so, as I said, all the Black funeral homes had their own ambulance service. So they would pick you up, take you to the hospital, and bring you back home if you made it. But if you did not, that same ambulance service that was owned by the Black funeral homes would pick you up and take you to the funeral home. And that was also a way, I guess you could say, of getting business before that person passed away, because you had built a rapport with the family. And so, again, after that was done, we would have the service, and the person would be at least a week, sometimes even 2 weeks, to allow, because at that time we didn't have, internet service like we do now, and texting as we do now. And it cost then to make long distance calls. We didn't have cell phones, of course, anything like that at the time. And also during that time, our cemeteries in Dallas County were segregated. Lincoln Cemetery, which is located in Dallas, Texas, in what is called the Pleasant Grove area of Dallas, was the only cemetery that would allow Black families to be buried. It wasn't until the late 1970s that Laurelland Funeral Home, which now is a part of Dignity, that they would allow, that they desegregated, they integrated their their cemeteries to us. And because of this mindset, even Laurelland, because they did not want to service Black families, but they did want to get in on the monies. So they built Singing Hills Funeral Home to service the Black clientele. And so that Singing Hills to this day is still under the umbrella of Dignity, and it is owned by Laurelland Funeral Home and Cemeteries. Also, during the 60s, and I would say even before that, the funeral service industry was dominated by males. And it was just basically unheard of for a female to be interested in that type of business. I remember growing up as a little girl. I don't know why, but I was just always fascinated when ever my mom would take me with her to the funeral home or to a funeral. And that is something that I just always wanted to do. But I was talked out of it. It was thought of like, oh, it's something wrong with you. You're a female. This is something that a female does not do. And so it was definitely a male dominated field. Today, thankfully, that has changed. Now, more women are in school as myself. There are more women that are interested in the field than men. And also, one of the things I must point out, cremations was definitely a no-no. The only way that someone that was in a black family that would be cremated that was just the last resort. The family would come together. They had fish fries, chicken dinners, whatever they had to do to get up enough money to bury their loved ones. But again, times have definitely changed. Now, with our older families, we still see their need for wanting traditional service and burial. The younger group, not so much. They either opt for a service with cremation or direct cremation. And also our older adults that don't have a spouse living and just maybe grandchildren or niece or nephew. Those families, they opt to go ahead and have their loved one cremated. And I will say, for me, as I said earlier, I was always so interested in the funeral service. And now it just gives me joy as to what I can contribute to something that I had always wanted to do. But as a black female growing up, that was frowned on, as I said. And now here I am, a young 64-year-old woman, and I am so thankful that the times, the mindsets have changed, that now I can fulfill my dream. And I just pray and hope that all of my schoolmates, that you all will be able to fulfill your heart's desire. It is never too late. And I thank you for listening. Bye-bye.